Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Today I'm doing another book review, and it's Beauty and the Beast by Villeneuve, Gabrielle, Suzanne Barbara Gallen, I guess. So, most of you probably know the story of Beauty and the Beast, and maybe heard of it on the internet, and I've got done reading this book, and it's a pretty decent story, though there's just one section that I had no clue about, and I'll get to about in a sec. But basically, it's about this merchant man who used to be very rich. He has 6 daughters and 6 sons, and his sons are actually quite honorable and quite nice, so they don't really give them names, but they're very kind and generous, and they're understanding that their father is very poor. The daughters, on the other hand, except for one, are kind of snobbish. They really kind of take their dad for granted. And the only one that seems to not take him for granted is this character named Beauty. Yes, in Beauty and the Beast, Beauty is literally just named Beauty. Honestly, I think that's just lazy writing. And the father ends up having to go away to go do something, and he asks what the daughters want, and his youngest daughter, Beauty, just wants a rose. And he's like, okay, I'll go find you a rose. And he comes along this castle that he's never seen, and I think he was like freezing cold or something. So that was a thing. He gets freezing cold, and he even had to stay inside of a tree, and so did his horse or something. I don't know what happened, but the horse was with him, and they had to cover up, and he hid in a tree from the freezing cold. And then afterwards, he comes across this castle. He sees a lot of statues, and he eats a little bit of food. And then he actually goes to. Then he's about to go outside, and then he sees a rose, and he picks a couple of roses. It's not just one, but he picks like a couple dozen. But then all of a sudden, this beast comes up, and he's like, "Why thy steal the roses?" Yeah, it's a little bit old English, but he's like saying that, and he's like, why are you stealing my roses after I just gave you nice hospitality? And as you know, the old man tells him, well, his youngest daughter wanted a rose, so the beast told him, well, bring her along, and she must come in her free will, since she's the one that asked for the rose. And apparently, he gets back home, the merchant, and he tells his daughters that Beauty has to go to the castle because he was the one that brought her the rose, and all of her sisters were like, yeah, Beauty should totally go stay at that castle because she did ask for the rose, otherwise this beast is gonna kill our father, and yada yada. So they're basically pointing fingers at Beauty and saying it's her fault. And Beauty's like, okay, yeah, I kind of agree, it is kind of my fault, which, again, horrible writing in my opinion. And she goes with her dad, and they say their goodbyes, and the beast actually gives them a bunch of fancy stuff and jewels and gold. And it's supposed to, like, be their stuff for the daughters. And Amira's like, hey, Dad, maybe you should hide this stuff and maybe spend it a little bit on yourself and not really give it to your other daughters because they're snobs. And the father's like, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And then the beast actually gives them something to help carry the stuff to them because it's so heavy that even an elephant couldn't lift it. And, oh yeah, speaking of which, the beast actually is described to have an elephant's trunk, which is very new because, well, not very new, it's actually very old, but it's just something kind of refreshing because I watched Beauty and the Beast, movie 1,000 times, and then I hear stories of this description of the Beast in a different version of Beauty and the Beast, or a retelling, and it's a little refreshing to hear that he's got elephant's trunk nose. But anyway, back to the plot. So I'm just checking my time. And anywho, what ends up happening is that Beauty stays with the Beast, and every night he asks her, will you marry me? And she's like, no. But she does look at him as a friend, and we actually discover that Beauty is actually into books. She likes to read, so she's very fascinated by the library. There's talking parrots, and there's monkeys that actually throw her a play. And then the Beast realizes that Beauty is kind of sad, and he's like, do you hate me? Do you not want to be around me? And she's like, oh no, I don't hate you. It's just I want to be with my family, even though they treat me so poorly. She just wants to check up on her family because she's got a good heart. And the Beast is like, okay, I trust you to go to stay home for about 2 months, but if you don't come back, I'll die of a broken heart. So Beauty stays there for about 2 months, stays home. Her father actually took her advice and spent a little bit on himself, and I think they got fancier things. And all of her sisters are engaged to wealthy men, but these wealthy men see how beautiful she is, and they were asking her for her hand in marriage. And by the way, Beauty's like about 16. Again, very old. And then she realizes, oh my god, it's been about 2 months. I gotta get back to the Beast. So she goes to her bed, she wakes up, and she's back in the Beast's castle. And it wasn't really explained very well, but basically she has a dream where Beauty has a couple of dreams, but in this dream, she has a dream where the Beast is dying, but he turns back into a human. I don't know, it was a little confusing, but that's what happens, and that's how she finds out that the Beast is the prince that she's been dreaming about ever since she's been spending time with the Beast. And then we find out, after that happens, we find out that the Beast is actually a prince, and his mother, the queen, comes to her castle with a nice fairy. A fairy comes and checks up on them, and the queen is a little hesitant because Beauty is so beautiful, but she's like, wait, you're a merchant's daughter? I was hoping that he would marry into royalty like his cousin, which is kind of gross. But then the fairy actually explains that actually Beauty was adopted by the merchant, and she is the queen's brother, the king's daughter. But for some reason, the king had to give up his daughter for adoption. I forget why. I think it had to do something with the fact that the fairy sister, another fairy, wanted to hurt her or something. I don't really remember what, but sorry, there's birds. But yeah, he had to give her up for adoption, so the merchant raised Beauty as his own. And then we find out that there was two fairies. The good fairy that has been sending Beauty dreams and has been looking after for the Beast. And we find out that the Beast was raised by a different fairy, this fairy's sister. And we'll call her the evil fairy. So the evil fairy was related to the good fairy, and the evil fairy basically raised the prince, because the queen was out on war. Because there was no king, because her husband died before Beast was born, or Prince was born, and I think his name was Adam. They do say his name is Adam, so I think that's correct. And so the queen had to go find the war. And so the Beast, or Adam, was raised by the evil fairy. But over time, as he got older, the fairy started having feelings for him, and she asked both the prince, Adam, and his mother if she could have his hand in marriage, and if she loved him. And apparently fairies, they can only be beautiful like once a year, so she wasn't very attractive. But the Beast and his mother it's not that they didn't like her because she was ugly, it was because, dude, you raised this kid and we just don't have feelings for you. Why the heck do you want to marry my son? So the fairy got pissed and she turned him into a beast. And then the mother had to go back into the war. She actually had to like not let people know that her son was a beast, and she had to like go to a different spot and not let anybody know that her son was turned into a beast. And then the good fairy, her sister, told this beast about this person that was gonna come by, and he was gonna be with Beauty. And he was a little excited about that, but he was also nervous, so he tried his very best. And he was also trying to restrain himself from telling her that he's the prince. And then after that story, we see the king, and Beauty's like, father. So we find out that, yeah, it's a little disgusting, but apparently Beauty and Beast are actually cousins. Again, written a long time ago. I'm not the author, I'm just a storyteller. And we also get this really long chapter that didn't make a lot of sense to me, but was some sort of thing about fairy politics and about how the evil fairy was punished, and that she got turned into a serpent because she's done so much bad. I don't really know. I was in the car with family members reading this book, and everybody couldn't stop chit-chatting, but also the story got very convoluted for me, and it just didn't make a lot of sense. And then at the end of the story, Adam and Beauty decide to get married. She invites her adopted family, and they're happy, and they also kind of forgive the evil fairy for doing so much bad. And that's how the story ends. To be honest, I was really hoping to like this story, but I do like some of the parts. It's just that one freaking chapter really confused me, and I could barely get my head wrapped around it. The thing about this book is that the book, it's obviously an old story. You can tell it's written by an old story, by a time period where it was really old, but the way it was written, you can tell this was for children, so it was a little easy to understand. But then that one chapter really was a drag to get through, and I had no idea what they were talking about. Just some stupid bullshit crap about the dark fairy that I didn't fully understand. But yeah, I like the story fine. Will I ever go back to it? Maybe if I have a different perspective on it, or maybe when somebody asks me to do it for them. I don't know. But this is just my version of the story, my version of a review of the story. I read it, and I'm reviewing it, and I hope maybe this will encourage you to read it. Maybe it won't. But goodbye, guys. Have a nice night.